Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? I need every single one of you to stop right now. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care where you are, because what I am about to tell you is going to break the internet. This is the biggest story of the 2026 NBA playoffs. This is bigger than the Knicks-Sixers series. This is bigger than the Thunder sweeping the Suns. This is the story that changes everything. Luka Dončić, the man who every insider in the world has told you is done for the season. The man who Stephen A. Smith said was fugindo de luta. The man who Shams Charania said isn't even close to returning. The man who Brian Windhorst said won't be seen at the front end of the Thunder series, and maybe not at all. That man just appeared on SportsCenter from an undisclosed Lakers training facility, looked directly into the camera, and delivered a message that sent chills down my entire body. I literally had to sit down. I had to catch my breath. I am still processing what I just heard, because if what Luka Dončić said is true, and I have zero reason to believe it's not, then the Oklahoma City Thunder are in serious trouble, and the entire NBA just got put on notice. Let me tell you every single detail. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content, every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. So here's the context that you absolutely need to understand before I get into what Luka said. On April 2nd, Luka Dončić suffered a grade 2 hamstring strain during a regular season game against the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Paycom Center. He went down in the third quarter, grabbed his leg, and was helped off the court. That was 31 days ago. Since then, Luka has not played a single game. He missed the final 5 regular season games. He missed all 6 games of the first round series against the Houston Rockets. He flew to Europe to get specialized injection treatments for the hamstring, and every single report from every single major insider has been the same message. Luka is not close. Shams said on SportsCenter that the recovery is on a slow path and that the expectation is Luka will be out to start the Thunder series, with no clarity on a timeline. Windhorst went even further on Friday night, saying Luka hasn't begun 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 scrimmages, that he needs a ramp-up period, and that Windhorst would be very surprised if Luka returned at the end of the second round and was able to help the Lakers. In other words, the entire media establishment has declared Luka Dončić dead for this season, and that is exactly what Luka wanted them to think. The interview started in the most unusual way I've ever seen a player interview begin. The camera opened on a weight room. It was dimly lit, Lakers training gear everywhere, and Luka was sitting on a bench press, wearing purple and gold practice shorts and a black compression shirt on his left leg. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't performing for the camera. He was staring at the lens like a man who has been keeping a secret for a month and is finally ready to reveal it. Malika Andrews was off screen, conducting the interview remotely, and when she asked him the first question, "Luka, can you give us an update on how you're feeling?" He didn't answer right away. He just sat there for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It felt like an eternity. And then, in a voice that was low, measured, and absolutely terrifying in its calmness, he said, "Malika, I'm going to tell you exactly what nobody else knows. And after I say this, the whole world is going to understand why they should have never counted me out." What followed was the most explosive revelation of the entire 2026 postseason. "For the last month," Luka said, "every report you've seen about my injury has been carefully managed. Every quote from the team, every update from the insiders, every timeline, all of it was designed to create one impression: that I'm done, that I'm not coming back, that the Lakers are gonna have to face Oklahoma City without me. And you know what? It worked. The Thunder are game planning without me. The analysts are predicting a sweep without me. Stephen A. Smith is going on television calling LeBron a king without an army without me. And that's exactly where I want them." He pointed to his left leg, to the compression shirt covering his hamstring. "This leg? It's not 100%. I'm not going to lie to you, it's not where I want it to be yet. But it's a lot closer than anyone thinks. A lot closer than what Shams is reporting. A lot closer than what Windhorst is telling you on TV." The studio went absolutely dead. Tim Legler, who was on the panel, literally put his hand over his mouth. Chini Ogwumike's eyes went wide. And Malika, to her credit, immediately followed up. "Luka, are you saying you're going to play in this series?" And Luka paused again, and then he smiled. Not a big smile, just the faintest, most dangerous smile you've ever seen. I'm saying that when the time is right, you're gonna see me on that court, and when I step on that court, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to realize that they made the biggest mistake of this playoff run. They got comfortable. They thought this was going to be easy. Sweep the Suns, sweep the Lakers, get another ring, but they forgot something. They forgot that I'm from the same city that built the toughest basketball league in Europe. They forgot that I won a EuroLeague MVP at 19 years old. They forgot that I averaged 33.5 points per game this season, and they forgot that the last time I was on the court against them on April 2nd at their building, I was torching them before this happened. He tapped his hamstring. So, yeah, Stephen A. Go ahead and say I was running from the fight. Go ahead and say I'm afraid, but just remember that I'm telling you right now in front of the entire world that I am coming back, and when I do, it's going to be more dangerous than you can possibly imagine. Then Luka did something that nobody expected. He turned the interview into a full-on attack on Stephen A. Smith, and bro, it was savage. Stephen A. Smith, Luka said, looking directly at the camera. You said I was acabado para a temporada. Finished for the season. You compared the Lakers without me to a castle of sand. You laughed at the idea that we could compete with Oklahoma City, and you know what the worst part is? You said I was fugindo, running from the fight. Let me tell you something about where I come from, Stephen A. In Ljubljana, where I grew up, we don't run from anything. When I was 13 years old, I left my family to play professional basketball in Madrid. 13, I was a kid in a foreign country, sleeping alone, training with grown men, fighting for a spot on a roster where nobody cared about my feelings. And I didn't run. When I got to the NBA and people said I was too slow, too fat, too European to dominate, I didn't run. I averaged 21 points as a rookie. When Dallas gave up on me and traded me to Los Angeles in the middle of a season, when I had to leave the city where I'd built my NBA career, I didn't run. I embraced it. I came to LA and I averaged 33.5 points on a new team. So don't you ever in your life tell me that Luka Dončić runs from anything. I got hurt, there's a difference. And the moment I'm healthy enough to play, I'll be out there. And everyone is gonna remember why I was the best player in the NBA this season. Then Luka shifted to talking about his teammates, and this is where the emotion really started to come through. I need to say something about LeBron James, Luka said, and his voice softened. Because what this man is doing is beyond basketball. He's 41 years old, he's in his 23rd season, and he just averaged 23.2 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 8.3 assists in a first-round series. He had 28 points in a closeout game. He's carrying this team on his back, and he's doing it with the weight of the entire basketball world telling him he can't do it anymore. And I'm sitting here on the sideline, watching him, and I feel two things. His eyes got glassy. I feel inspired, because this man is showing me what greatness looks like at its purest form. No ego, no selfishness, just pure, relentless will to win. And I also feel responsible, because LeBron shouldn't have to do this alone. He shouldn't have to play 37 minutes in a closeout game at his age. He shouldn't have to be the primary scorer, the primary playmaker, and the emotional leader all at once. That's my job too, and I've let him down by being hurt. I know I didn't choose to get injured, but it doesn't change how I feel. And that guilt, that feeling of letting down the greatest player of all time, is what has been driving my recovery every single day, every single workout, every single treatment. I am fighting to get back out there, and I am going to get there. For him. For this team, for this city. Then Luka talked about Austin Reaves, and this was equally powerful. AR came back from his oblique injury and immediately made an impact, Luka said. 15 points in Game 6. He started, he attacked, he showed the world that he's real. And I need people to understand something about Austin Reaves that the stats don't show. AR is the most competitive person I've ever been around. More competitive than LeBron, which is saying something. This man hates losing with a passion that borders on insanity. And when he was hurt and I was hurt and we were sitting together watching the team, he was going crazy, bouncing his knee, yelling at the TV, punching the air after every missed shot. He couldn't stand not being out there. And now that he's back, watch out. Because AR with something to prove is the most dangerous version of Austin Reaves. And the Thunder have no idea what's coming. Then came the critique of his own team, and Luka was honest in a way that showed his leadership. But I'm going to be real about something, he said. Because that's who I am. I don't sugarcoat. We have issues that need to be addressed before we can legitimately compete with Oklahoma City. Our turnover rate this series was terrible. We averaged 9.2 fewer shot opportunities per game than Houston because of turnovers and lack of offensive rebounds. In the first 4 games, Houston had 22 more turnovers and 36 fewer offensive rebounds than us, and we still almost lost the series. Against the Thunder, who are the best team in the NBA at capitalizing on turnovers and generating second chance points, that kind of sloppiness will get us killed. LeBron combined for 16 turnovers in games 3 and 4 alone. I love the man, but that has to be cleaned up. DeAndre Ayton got ejected in Game 4 for hitting Sengun in the back of the head. That's the same undisciplined behavior that lost us that game. We can't afford those mistakes against OKC, not against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is going to punish every single error we make. He also addressed Rui Hachimura, and this was interesting. Rui has been incredible in these playoffs, Luka said. Shooting 58.6% from 3 is insane. Absolutely insane. He dropped 21 points in the closeout game. He had 22 points in the overtime win in Game 3. The man has been our most consistent secondary scorer, but here's my concern. Is it sustainable? 58.6% from 3 is an outlier. It's beautiful right now, but if Rui comes back down to earth against the Thunder, who are going to contest his shots more aggressively than Houston did, where do those points come from? That's why my return is so critical, because when I'm on the court, I create open looks for Rui that he doesn't get otherwise. My gravity as a scorer forces double teams, and that opens up the weak side where Rui lives. Without me, those looks are harder to generate, and if his three-point percentage drops to a more normal level, we lose a huge chunk of our offensive production. The interview went to commercial, and I have never been more anxious for a commercial break to end in my life. When they came back, Luka's demeanor had completely changed. Gone was the emotion, the vulnerability, the criticism. In its place was pure, cold, calculated menace. Let me tell you about Oklahoma City, Luka said, because I know this team very well. I was playing against them when I got hurt. I was on their court, I was in their building, and before I went down, you know what was happening? I was dominating, I was cooking them, and they know it. Shea knows it, Chet knows it, Mark Daigneault knows it. The reason I was their biggest threat isn't just because of my scoring. It's because I see the game differently than anyone else in this series. I process information faster, I read defenses 3 steps ahead, and against a team that relies on switching and rim protection, that kind of processing speed is the key to breaking them down. Then Luka dropped what might be the most controversial statement of the entire interview. People are talking about how Jalen Williams got hurt in Game 2 against the Suns. Luka said, Grade 1 hamstring strain. And everyone is asking whether he'll be ready for the Lakers series, but nobody is connecting the dots. Williams hurt his left hamstring. I hurt my left hamstring against the same team at the same arena. You want to tell me that's a coincidence? The Paycom Center floor might be the most dangerous court in the NBA right now, and both teams' second best players went down with the same injury. So when we go to Oklahoma City on Tuesday, you better believe our medical staff is going to be monitoring that court, because I am not going to let another hamstring go down on that floor. Luka's final message was the one that made the entire interview legendary. He stood up from the bench press, walked closer to the camera, and looked into the lens with an expression that I can only describe as a predator who has spotted his prey and is simply waiting for the right moment to strike. To the Thunder, he said, you swept the Suns and you think you're invincible, but the Suns didn't have a healthy Luka Dončić waiting in the shadows. You're game planning for a team without me. You're practicing against lineups without me. Your defensive schemes are built around stopping LeBron and Reaves. And that's smart, that's the right thing to do. But here's the problem. One day, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe when you least expect it, I'm gonna walk through that tunnel. And the moment I step on that court, everything changes. Every defensive rotation you've practiced becomes obsolete. Every scheme you've drawn up goes in the trash. Because you can't game plan for LeBron and Luka and Reaves. Nobody can. And when that big three is on the court together for the first time in this playoff run, God help anyone standing in our way. Then he pointed directly at the camera. Stephen A. Smith, you said I was running. Here's my answer. I'm not running from anything. I'm running toward something. I'm running toward the moment when I prove every single doubter wrong. When I prove that the Lakers trade for me wasn't a mistake. When I prove that I can win a championship alongside the greatest player who ever lived. And when I prove that Luka Dončić from Ljubljana, Slovenia, is the most unstoppable force in the NBA when he's healthy and motivated. And right now, I have never been more motivated in my entire life. So enjoy these last few games without me, Oklahoma City. Enjoy the advantage while you have it, because when I come back, and I will come back, this series is gonna look very different. The silent assassin doesn't announce his arrival, he just strikes, and the Thunder won't know what hit them. Let me break down everything we just witnessed, because this is arguably the most significant interview of the entire 2026 NBA playoffs. First, and most importantly, Luka essentially confirmed that his recovery is further along than publicly reported. The gap between what the insiders are saying, not close, hasn't started scrimmaging at least another week to 10 days minimum, and what Luka himself is saying, a lot closer than anyone thinks, is enormous. And historically, when the player's own assessment contradicts the media reports, the player is usually the one telling the truth. Teams have every incentive to downplay injury recoveries, especially in the playoffs. It's called gamesmanship, and if the Lakers have been running a disinformation campaign about Luka's status to catch the Thunder off guard, it would be the smartest strategic move of the entire postseason. Second, the emotional weight of Luka talking about LeBron was extraordinary, hearing a 27-year-old superstar who averaged 33. 5 points this season express guilt about not being on the court with LeBron tells you everything about the dynamic on this team. Luka sees himself as LeBron's partner, not his sidekick. And the idea that LeBron is out there carrying the load at 41 while Luka watches from the sideline is clearly eating him alive. That kind of emotional fuel doesn't just go away when the hamstring heals, it intensifies. And when Luka does step back on that court, whenever that is, he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder the size of the Staples Center. Third, the tactical analysis about turnovers and offensive rebounding is spot on and reveals how deeply Luka has been studying the game even while injured. The Lakers averaged 9.2 fewer shot opportunities than Houston, the biggest discrepancy of any series in the first round. Against a Thunder team that thrives on transition and second chance points, that has to improve dramatically. Luka's playmaking, his ability to control pace and minimize turnovers through his decision making is exactly what this team needs to fix that problem. Fourth, the Paycom center floor comment about both Williams and Dončić suffering left hamstring injuries is going to be a talking point. Whether there's any merit to it or not, Luka planting that seed publicly is a psychological move designed to create a narrative around court conditions that could benefit the Lakers if the series goes back to Oklahoma City. And let me add my own analysis on this because I think it's being overlooked. The Thunder swept the Suns, but they also lost their second best player in Game 2. Jalen Williams only played 33 games this regular season due to multiple injuries. He was dealing with right hamstring strains before this new left hamstring injury. The Thunder's backup plan is AJ Mitchell, who had 22 points in the closeout game and averaged 14.9 points as a starter this season. Mitchell is a talented second-year player, but he's not Jalen Williams. And if Williams is limited or missing for the start of this series, the Thunder have a vulnerability that the Lakers can exploit. And here's one more thing that I think people are completely sleeping on. The Lakers have been in survival mode for the entire first round. They played without Luka for all 6 games. They played without Reaves for 4 of them. They had DeAndre Ayton get ejected in Game 4 and watch their 3-2 lead shrink to 3-2. They had to go to Houston for a closeout game where the Rockets were playing with the desperation of a team trying to avoid a second straight first round exit. And through all of that chaos, LeBron led the way with 23.2 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 8. 3 assists for the series. Rui Hachimura shot an impossible 58.6% from 3. Marcus Smart had multiple 20-plus point games with elite defense. Luke Kennard exploded for 27 in Game 1. This team has proven game after game that they can win without their best player. So imagine what happens if that best player actually comes back. Imagine Luka walking onto the court for Game 4 or Game 5 after LeBron and the boys have kept the series competitive. Imagine the psychological devastation of the Thunder having to completely rethink their defensive game plan in the middle of a series against a guy who averaged 33.5 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 8.3 assists this season. That's the trump card the Lakers are holding, and Luka just showed the whole world that the card is still very much in play.